Hello, my name is Hidekuni or Hide, and welcome back to my channel. I'm a creative being, and today I'll be making a video which I didn't think I would ever make, or at least not that soon. I've put lights in my background because my corner is always super dark. Like, I have a window there, I have a window there, and I'm sitting in between of them, but I'm in the corner and the daylight doesn't come in. Mentioning it's also getting winter, it's like already getting dark outside, although it's only 4 o'clock, and I thought the lights would be pretty, so let's try it for the short amount of time I will be in front of the camera, because this will be a painting video. In this video I will foremost talk about why I am having a hard time at the moment, or at least one of the things that have happened in my life that were crucial for me and threw me off. And I also will show you how art can be a nice way to process things. And this is my final step of processing what I have had in my life, if that makes sense. Well, of course, I will be still sad afterwards, I will still be crying afterwards, but it's a big step for me to process something and get over it and handle it. As said, this will be a sad video, so if you don't want to be sad, if you don't want to be exposed to something sad, that's totally fine, you don't have to watch it, but I will warn you, this will be a sad video. I might cry, I don't know yet, I'm a very emotional person due to my personality disorder, so this will be also very hard for me to record. So I'm alone at the moment, I have my time, I have my tea, and we are going now through this. In this video, I will be painting a pet portrait. Enjoy! As mentioned now, I will talk about the loss of a pet. And I will also talk about why art is not only pretty and you will have pretty art and you're improving and growing, but your emotions also play a big role in them, and art is a form of healing for your own soul and processing what has happened. On the 30th of September this year, I have lost my bunny. His name was Grimm, and he passed away due to an accident. Over the last weeks of his life, he lost a lot of weight. And it was very concerning because his metabolism also went very fast. Like, he pooped much more and he also peed much more, and that's why the corner often was more of a mess, because he simply couldn't hold it back. And it was very concerning, why we went to the veterinary and she checked him, everything seemed alright, like despite him pooping and peeing much more and having lost half of his weight, everything else was fine. So we took a blood test and she said that we might want to change up the diet a bit, because our bunnies only get hay and salad and at times some treats like dried food that is not too much processed, like it's literally just the fruit dried out and not having additional sugar or oils or anything like that. So she suggested that we could give him some dry bunny food, like store-bought bunny food, which most people give to their bunnies, which is not necessarily good because most of this food contains ingredients they shouldn't necessarily get. And so I went out and bought a package of this kind of food. The day he got this food, he consumed it in the morning, but in the evening, when he consumed it again, he suffocated. And the moment he suffocated, he also went into shock. And when it happened, I was alone at home because my partner and my boyfriend were out walking the dog, because we still had plans, so I was like feeding him, and that's when it happened, so I was alone. It was also very overwhelming for me because I didn't know what to do. My partner eventually came home, we called the hospital that has like a night shift to help out in such cases, which is also open in case of something happening during the night or the weekends. But the person that was in charge had no idea about bunnies. which was very frustrating because you're reaching out hoping to get help because someone you really love is in pain or even dying, and then they had no idea what to do. They couldn't help. And as we were calling, our bunny passed away. It might have been too big for him, or he wasn't used to that kind of food, but it got stuck in his throat. And since bunnies cannot vomit nor get it back up, he suffocated on it. And it was awful to watch. And I felt very helpless. I didn't know what to do, and it was very overwhelming for me. It was a very horrifying experience, and I'm in retrospect also very mad about the clinic, that they had no idea and that they were not prepared for such a thing, because it's a clinic for animals, and bunnies are still common animals around here. It's not like a reptile or fish that are, I don't know, in my opinion they are more rare or like harder to treat, was not as common to treat. And yet, even nowadays, maybe people have such kind of animals. But bunnies are so common, and then the hospital couldn't help. I'm very mad at them. If anybody else would have worked that night there, maybe that person would have helped. The person specifically couldn't help. And I understand that there are less doctors around during the night, but especially because there are so few of them, they should have a wider knowledge about animals in that regard, because during such times any animal can be in pain and in danger and hurt themselves, and then if you go there in panic and you need urgent help, they can't provide it. And due to me being alone that moment, I was responsible for him, and I couldn't be there for him. And the people around me keep telling that it wasn't my fault. Yet I blame myself because I was there. And I couldn't properly help him because I was in panic myself. And simply could only watch him pass away in that moment. I am aware that bunnies don't get as old as other pets or as humans, by far not. I am aware that he would have passed away before me within a decade. But since he was only 4 years old and passed away due to an accident, it makes it all harder, because it could have been avoided. He could have just eaten his food, or we would have not given him that food in the first place and just continued giving him other kind of foods he liked, and he would eat with a lot of calories just so he could gain some more weight until the doctors would know what is wrong with him. And everything would have been fine, and he would eventually caught up and lived another 4 to 6 years, because by the time he passed away he was only 4 years old. And that's not very old for a bunny. It's like around half their life, not even, because he was my first bunny and he was my first pet I got on my own. It feels like I have lost a child. I was aware that he would die before me, but it's just so crucial and it's so hard. And it is still hard. I honestly never cried so much for an animal, because it's now over 2 months later and I'm still highly emotional. And as you can hear with my voice, like, I keep tearing up. Like, I am rationally very calm, but my body keeps tearing up due to my borderline, which is another topic I didn't thought I would talk as much here on this channel or in general, but I am getting more and more aware of this personality disorder, and also about how deeply connected it is with my art. Not only that I make my borderline zine and such, but also due to me being very emotional, I process my feelings with art. It helps me to calm down. It helps me to hold memories, feelings, and thoughts in a piece of art without fearing I will forget them. I can get everything out of my system and know it is there. I can still access it, but I don't have to carry it around all the time. And that's why art is so healing for me and probably also for other people. And that's why I am painting this portrait for him. Not only to just have a memory of him and have a cute pet portrait of him, but to put my feelings into it. It's also the reason why I do this video, which is another kind of art. It's not a medium of art. But it's also very important for me to make this video, to process it once again through this, and to also have something else where I know, oh, this is about my bunny, this is about him, and it is some sort of memorial for him, this video and this piece of art. And that's why it's so important to process it. Like, first of all, it's a memorial for him. Then again, I can go again through these emotions because the day I painted this and also today, I was and I am tearing up constantly. The day I painted this, I was a mess. I was very emotional, I kept crying, and when I was not painting, I was still very vulnerable. Another reason why I drew him is due to my borderline. I feel the feelings very strongly, but once they are gone, they are gone. And I keep forgetting things. So, in order to not forget about my feelings and the love I have for him, I created something that helps me remember these feelings. Maybe it helps to visualize it like that. The feelings I have run through my fingers like sand, and I keep picking it up and up and up, but eventually it's gone. It's all over the floor, and I cannot feel it properly anymore. I can go out and get new sand, but it's not the same, and also that sand will eventually run through my fingers and be gone. I put a lot of my emotions into items, so I physically have something I can hold on to, which I will not lose, which will keep these memories and feelings, and I can take it with me. I can look at it each day. And even if I emotionally don't feel it anymore or can't understand it, I rationally know that it's still there. And of course, because it's art, I will not forget how he looks like. Yes, I can look at pictures and photographies I took of him, but I have spent the time drawing him, analyzing him, trying to make this painting look like him, and I can recognize him. And due to that, I feel connected to him. Maybe it is also for me a way to say goodbye properly and have this kind of end. He will also always be a part of this family. So that's why he also should have his place on the wall and be seen by everyone. Especially because he was a very active bunny and he was very joyful and curious. Like, he would always come running into our room because our bunnies are free roaming and they have the house, the toilet and all in our bathroom, and we usually have our door open. So he would always come running in and look what you were doing, especially if he heard noise that sounded like you were opening some treats for him. And when we had our bed downstairs, he would also jump in the mornings on our bed to wake us up. And when you then opened your eyes, you just had him sitting there on you, looking at you all curious. And in general, he was just a mischievous little bunny. He just filled this room always with so much life. And it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to have a painting of him here, because he was just simply part of this room and this family. Lastly, whenever something crucial happens, I have this need to inform people. Like, I don't necessarily want to talk about it, but I want to reach out and tell people what has happened. And this video is also a form of that, as well as this painting. Because for me, it's such a big deal. Well known, knowing that it has no meaning in this world, but it's such a big deal that I have the urge to inform people that it has happened, that it's a tragedy, and people just have to know about it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just a trait I notice I have. Like, whenever something happened, I just went to people to inform them that has happened and then move on to the next person. Because having these immense feelings while all the other people move on with their life as nothing has happened is something that I emotionally cannot understand, and it hurts me. So that's why I have to go tell people, not to ruin their day or their mood, because that's not what I want. It's just like I need comfort by people. It's the way I cope with these emotions, because I have to get them out of my system. Pets overall are just so special and unique because they give us such an immense love, because we are their world. On the other hand, he was mine because we had and have cats and dogs in our family, but I personally never managed to get along with cats and dogs because they are high maintenance for me, and I emotionally don't manage that. But I manage bunnies, and I'm very happy about that, because bunnies are animals I can keep on my own. They are easy to handle for me. I manage to keep them proper, I manage to feed them and to play with them and give them anything they need, while dogs and cats are just too much for me. Grim was just very special. Painting him was also very healing for me, because before I started, I was very scared about doing it, scared I wouldn't have a proper picture of him, and I went through all the pictures we have of him over and over, and I got frustrated because I didn't find anything I liked, and scared I wouldn't have anything to put into a proper painting. But when I sat down properly and looked through everything again, I found a picture of him, which I then adjusted a bit color wise on the PC, and then started painting him. I, like, as you saw, I didn't really make a sketch for him. I often just have the reference picture with a grid open on my PC, on my drawing program. I had two other pictures of him for as references in case I would need them, but for the rest I just started painting him and built up the whole composition and shapes. Also, with the colors, I was not using a single amount of black, because before I painted him now, I painted another pet portrait, which might come online as well here if I'm allowed to show the process, which should usually not be a problem. But I stopped using black for my paintings in that regard, and I really like how the colors turned out, because it goes away from the realistic colors and from the realistic light and all that, but I really like how colorful it gets and the depth it brings. And with the process, I saw that I got closer and closer to what he looked like. I managed to get the composition right and the proportions, and the closer I got, the calmer I also got, because it gave me safety and I knew I wasn't messing it up, which was great. And I also knew that I will end up having a proper painting of him, which will be around for me, and I know that I will not forget him. As I said, throughout the process, I was tearing up often, I was emotional, but this helped me immensely. Until now, because I'm also now recording, there was always something in my mind holding me back about, oh, I still have to do this and that was the painting and the video. And I feel like I'm getting closer to what I wanted to do, which I set for myself to process it, and it's very helpful. In general, whenever I was sad or overwhelmed by feelings, I was drawing or doodling the feelings, and it truly helps me to get them out of my system, because carrying them around is a lot. It takes a lot of my energy for something negative, and it makes it harder to get over these emotions. But whenever I draw or paint, they get out of my system, and I can also think about them and find new perspectives and understand certain situations, or why these emotions occurred, or what I can do differently, what went wrong, or what I can do to avoid such emotions. And I hope that due to me painting Grim, but also creating this video, which I will now edit so I can get it out there, that I will feel better in the next days and weeks. Losing someone that precious is something that you won't simply process over a few days. It will take a lot of time still, but I hope that throughout making and doing this, that I will heal a bit more, and that I will soon get to my rhythm, because there's a bunch of things I want to do, and it's very frustrating that I want to do all these things, but I don't manage because I feel blocked off and held back by I don't know what at the moment. And yeah, because I want to open my online store and many people keep asking me and are excited about what I'm doing and want to support me and buy from me, and that's wonderful. Like, I'm so glad that so many people are out there and waiting with anticipation for me coming to conventions, but also opening up my online store. Why I really want to get going, and it is so much work, and I'm still very scared about it and have to look into things, but I want to move on and get it done, because it's something that still brings me a lot of joy. So it's frustrating that I don't get there. I'm also currently working on another video, which is me going to one of my last conventions for this year, and then I will also record a third one, which will me going to the last convention of this year. And I also, as I mentioned, still have the footage of the other animal portrait, pet portrait I did, and I would love to share it with you as well. So there is truly a bunch of things I want to do. I am sorry for my voice being all shaky and me crying, but I didn't manage it better. I am still very emotional, but talking about this also helped me. After going through this process now of talking about it and showing you my art, I feel already so much better, because I know this is not lost. I know that someone is listening. I'm tearing up again. I don't like this. I cried already so much and I don't want to keep crying, although crying is healthy, at least for me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate if you're still around, although this was a very heavy topic, at least for me. And I am very excited for my next video, so I would be happy to see you there. And if you have any questions or feedback or anything else, please let me know down in the comments. So thanks and have a nice day or night wherever you are. Bye bye.